So this is a still shot of the Strait of Hormuz as of this morning, April 28th, 2026. And as we move down, we can see a video taken via a dash cam from the shoreline at the Strait of Hormuz, which proves nothing is moving. Ship after ship are just sitting in the water, not carrying any oil or petrochemicals anywhere. So let's take a look at this. If it'll play. There we go. I've noticed the internet's a little sketchy this morning. I don't know if you guys are seeing that on your end. There you have it. Absolutely nothing is moving. And you got to wonder, what are the crews doing on these ships? Are they getting fed? Are they getting water replenishment, food, so on? Because I know our Navy, U.S. Navy folks aren't. I showed you those pictures the other day about their meager rations. So the strait has been effectively closed since February 28th. Every single day since then, about 20% of the world's oil and petrochemical supply has been turned off. Gasoline and diesel fuel prices have spiked enormously and continue to rise. Manufacturing industries that rely on oil or oil-based petrochemicals are running out of raw materials to make things, such as tires, roofing, plastics, medical equipment, which need gases like helium to operate. Electronic circuit board makers, which I'm going to show you in a minute, who need oil-based resins to coat the circuit boards so they don't short out, are all running out of raw materials. Fertilizers for crops doubled in price. 70% of farmers can't afford it. That's been the zero hedge story since this morning. So food production from the spring planting, which will harvest in August, will be the last food crop this year until the next spring planting. This will cause food shortages and huge price increases. Yes, we're going to see Revelation 6 play out real quick. As those raw materials run out, more and more things won't be made or able to be made. For instance, everything that needs a printed circuit board to operate. And that story, if you want to see it, it's also on Hal's website right here. They can't make printed circuit boards anymore because of the war. So there's one plant that makes 70% of them, and they're not in operation right now. And so I'll put the links to all this up after we're done here. But as those raw materials run out, more things can't be made, which I just said. So the ongoing Iran conflict, which Israel and the U.S. restarted, is forcing our advanced society back to the Stone Age. Yeah, real quick. It's all built on sand. And it's about to collapse. Everything in the West. And everything around the world, too. Because everybody needs energy. Everybody needs oil to make things, just as I showed you. And now there won't be circuit boards anymore. So expect a shortage of all things electronic. The supply disruption has caused PCB prices to surge by 40% in April alone, according to Goldman Sachs analysts. The shortage, compounded by disrupted Gulf shipping routes and rising copper costs, has forced manufacturers like South Korea's Daeduk Electronics to raise prices and extend material wait times from 3 weeks to 15. So what does all this mean for all of us normal folks, right? This is a black swan event. All electronics need PCB. 70% of all PCB resin came from one plant that is now offline. So printed circuit boards are found in nearly all electronic devices, serving as the foundation for connecting components and products ranging from consumer gadgets to industrial machinery. Common applications include smartphones, laptops, TVs, medical imaging, automotive systems, household appliances, and gaming consoles. In simpler terms, go look in your kitchen. Do you see your toaster oven, regular sliced bread toaster, microwave oven, your cooking stove, dishwasher, refrigerator, coffee maker? They all use printed circuit boards, guys. So expect shortages of pretty much everything at this point. And of course, fuel prices continue to exponentially rise. I know here in the state of Washington, Spokane area, gas is just, I know it's over 5 at this point. Might have cracked 6 this morning, not sure. Going to go out later. Should have filled up yesterday. Because it's not going to get any cheaper day by day. So get things filled up and topped off as much as you can. As much as you can store it. You know? But understand that gasoline has a limited shelf life and you'll have to put some fuel stabilizer in it. So, anyways, just saying, everything's going to get short and everything's going to get real expensive pretty quickly. So now let's go back over here to Telegram. We have OPEC, or UAE, I should say, is leaving OPEC and OPEC Plus. They're saying because they need to, you know, output more oil than what OPEC is going to allow them to output. And so they're deciding to leave OPEC, and Saudi Arabia and the others are not happy, saying it was an irresponsible decision and so on. So we'll have to see what happens there, but that's some pretty big news. Then we have the silent catastrophe, which we've just been talking about. The Persian Gulf situation is worse than you think. Permanent reduction of oil flows are now happening every day, which we talked about yesterday as well. How Iran was running out of fuel storage or oil storage very soon, and they'll have to start taking millions of barrels a day of production offline. That's also going to affect the world. This is why Russia and China, well, Russia doesn't have to worry, but China does. That's why they were stocking up big time before this war broke out. Because they all have the playbook. They all know what it says. And they all know what their parts are. Now, we can go over to this story. As U.S. carrier groups are now in position for the next round, as Trump is dissatisfied with Iranian demands. So we're going to go through this article as quickly as possible, but it's very good. Let us begin. This is from Simplicus over on Substack. So let's begin with an update on the position of U.S. carrier groups as it informs us a bit as to the U.S. current posture toward Iran. We happen to have gotten 2 new satellite geolocations. First, the Gerald R. Ford, which had been out of action due to a laundry fire, has now returned to the Red Sea. It was reportedly seen pulling a hard and fast U-turn at geolocation listed right here. And so here's a satellite image of that carrier doing a U-turn. Pretty cool. Which puts it right about here in the Persian Gulf. So, as you can see, it's between Egypt and Saudi Arabia, far enough away from Iran to stay out of missile range. So additional Arleigh-Burke destroyers nearby, one conducting underway replenishment with a supply ship right here. Separately, the USS Tripoli was spotted outside the Gulf of Oman, right here. And the American amphibious assault ship, the USS Tripoli, together with an Arleigh-Burke class destroyer, was spotted by satellite at the entrance to the Strait of Hormuz, approximately 115 kilometers off the coast of Oman and 465 kilometers from Iran. On board, there's the 31st Expeditionary Unit of the U.S. Marine Corps, which is most likely carrying out landings on the tankers captured by the Americans as part of the blockade imposed by Trump. Interestingly, the aircraft carrier, the Abraham Lincoln, accompanied by a pair of Arleigh-Burke class destroyers, is even closer, just 330 kilometers off the coast of Iran, which poses a danger to the ship in the event of the use of Iranian anti-ship missiles. And there's rumors that the Abraham Lincoln, I don't know if I haven't watched the Pet Goat 2 video series, but they say that the Abraham Lincoln is destroyed in that movie. Predictive programming, hard to say, but it is the one part closest to Iran. So correct me if I'm wrong on that Pet Goat 2, but that's what I think I've seen in the comments from you guys. Anyway, as can be seen by the above summary, the Tripoli is said to be around 465 kilometers from Iranian shores, but the USS Lincoln has again ventured closer, allegedly to within 300 kilometers. You can see it right here. Well, why is that 300-kilometer range key? Because those who read the breakdown of Iran's anti-ship capabilities here at this link will recall that Iran's anti-ship ballistic missiles pretty much cap out at the 300-kilometer range, which marks this as the exact distance U.S. carriers dare venture to near Iranian shores in order to stay just a hair's length outside the envelope while still pretending to act tough and show some kind of phony resolve. You'll note the exact measurement is actually 331 kilometers, which means they're cautiously keeping just outside of Iranian range. And in fact, it's more than that, given that Iranian launchers would be dozens of miles inland, not sitting right on the shoreline. So the real total range from the Iranian missiles is likely 375 to 400 kilometers. And there's an example of one right there. Now, that's what they're showing on paper. That's what the Americans know that they have. But what if they have something that we're not aware of? I'm just saying. Iran keeps dropping that hints that they have weapons we're not aware of and that they're going to surprise the United States and the West. Well, we'll see. CENTCOM brags that this is the largest convergence of U.S. naval power in the Mideast in decades. Here's a graphic of all that firepower. The full current force posture is listed right here. But something quite interesting was revealed over the past few days when news broke of that Iranian attacks during the war had done far greater damage to U.S. bases than previously admitted to. We talked about that yesterday as well. And so I'm going to kind of scroll down here. But it is said this is the first time a U.S. base has been hit by direct aircraft attacks since the Korean War, when Iran did it in Kuwait. Because in the initial days of the war, an Iranian F-5 fighter jet bombed the U.S. base camp Buring in Kuwait, despite the base having air defenses, a rare breach that marked the first time an enemy fixed-wing aircraft has struck an American military base in years. So recall a few reports ago, we shared the image of a Russian Fab 500 bomb and the wreckage of the U.S.'s other Kuwaiti base, Camp Arifjan. This is a direct drop bomb, which means Iranian craft had to get pretty much directly over the defenseless U.S. bases to attack them. Yeah, so U.S. air defenses were gone. They were non-existent. Further, recall the Kuwaiti fighter jet that shot down the 3 American F-15s. The most important nugget during that event was that U.S. forces had been fending off attacks from Iranian aircraft right here. Iranian aircraft, ballistic missiles, and drones. So putting 2 and 2 together, we can now reconstruct the events more accurately. Iranian aircraft appeared to have breached U.S. defenses, directly gravity bombed U.S. bases, all while causing flustered defenders to engage in friendly fire. That means Iran was able to do to the U.S. what even Ukraine has not been able to do to Russia, despite Ukraine having a more modern NATO-supplied air force. Now, the latest negotiation tango has again commenced, with claims that Iran has made some new 3-point offer. The offer reportedly allows for an initial stage of agreements on key points, and we talked about all that yesterday. But multiple reports have subsequently claimed that Trump did not take kindly to the nuclear subject, as both sides believe themselves to hold all the cards. So President Trump and his national security team are skeptical of Iran's offer of a deal that would see the Strait of Hormuz open and discussions about its nuclear work tabled. Trump held discussions with aides Monday morning about the offer. While he didn't reject it outright, officials said Trump sounded notes about Iran not dealing in good faith or being willing to meet his key demand, which is ending nuclear enrichment and vowing never to make nuclear weapons. Essentially, he just wants them to become an Israeli vassal state like Syria right now. But Iran's not going to let that happen. So President Trump has told advisors he's not satisfied with Iran's latest proposal to open the Strait of Hormuz and end the Iran war, which calls on the U.S. to lift its ongoing blockade and postpones nuclear talks till after the conflict is over. So anyway, we're going to scroll down a little further now. Oh, for their part, Iran is threatening the largest response in history if attacks do resume. We've already talked about that before. And we talked about this yesterday, about Bloomberg reporting that Iran's oil storage has shrunk to 22 days or less remaining. And that's why they're starting to worry, they're thinking about making deals. And now it's become a game of chicken between both sides facing economic depredation. And so I'm going to scroll down a little further here because Rubio is just embarrassing himself again. But here we have, lastly, a rather interesting, albeit unverified. So let's keep that in mind. It's a video that claims to show a man from near the Mehar plains of Iran, right next to Isfahan, and where the infamous incident of U.S. aircraft being destroyed on the ground occurred a few weeks back. The caption explained that the man is claiming Israeli-American forces had paved a small secret road runway in this region to use in planned clandestine operations against the Isfahan nuclear storage site. So let's check this out. Look at the nice asphalt here. It must have been done by Israeli agents who are inside of Iran, if it'll play here. Well, let's refresh the page and see what happens. Like I said, the internet's been sketchy this morning. I don't know what it's been doing for you guys, but everything has been delayed, slow. It wouldn't surprise me if we have Iranian or other foreign hacker groups attacking the internet infrastructure here in the States now. So here we go. See if it'll play now.
So when we talk about infiltration, that this is exactly what we mean. That they paved the road in the Mahyar plain. That's also where the American helicopters crashed. Just look at that road, brand new asphalt. وقتی از نفوذ حرف میزنیم منظورمون دقیقاً یه همچین چیزی. جاده راست.
And so there you go. As you can see, it's a nice paved road out in Mahar Plain in Iran, right outside of Isfahan. So we can presume by the context that this brand new asphalted road in this dusty desert region are not exactly a natural or authentic site. So if this is true, this gives further credence to the now almost certain theory that the so-called pilot rescue operation was in fact a massively failed uranium exfiltration attempt. Yes. And that's why they lost so many aircraft in that operation. Many people have pointed to the fact that the hero pilot who was rescued during this unprecedentedly heroic operation that has never been named, he's garlanded, awarded, or celebrated in any way, it would seem would typically be the case with Trump. Some have debunked this by claiming a pilot of an active operation would not be so unmasked. Yet let's recall Trump publicly awarded the heroes who took Maduro. Chief Warrant Officer Eric Slover was the Chinook pilot who took a bullet during Operation Absolute Resolve, when the 160th SOARs exfiltrated Maduro out of Caracas. Now that pilot, who's right here, was publicly awarded the Medal of Honor by Trump on stage in person. So why hasn't the even greater hero, pilot of the downed F-15 who trekked dozens of miles through hostile enemy territory in Iran and avoided ruthless IRGC commandos for days, also been similarly identified, praised, and awarded one wonders? It's almost as if he didn't even exist. Question mark. Just saying, guys. It's just like Trump to exonerate, promote himself along with giving a Medal of Honor to these pilots and military people he feels deserve it. So since he helped tell the story of this pilot who trekked dozens of miles through hostile enemy territory in Iran, why isn't he awarding him like this guy? Just saying. And then, of course, I just showed you the runway out in the middle of the desert, the asphalt, if that video proves to be true. And, anybody's guess, I would presume, but people smarter than me can probably figure that out. Anyway, that will be it for now. Like I said, I'll put all these links up at the website, don'tspeaknews.com, which is home base for all that we do. I put all kinds of stuff here that we can't put anywhere else. There's over 3,000 stories now, videos, all kinds of things you can research here on the website. If you'd like to support our channel, that link is right here. I thank everyone who's been supporting us this past week. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. And so underneath this tab are all the links to support us, including Cash App and Venmo. And if you want to find us around the internet, different locations, we're not too hard to find. We've got a YouTube channel, at least for now anyway. Telegram, Don't Speak Health News over on Substack. That's health news we can't speak about anywhere else. And our BitChute and Rumble channels. And that's it. We've been kicked off of Patreon, Twitter, and everywhere else. So that's where we're at this point. And there's a subscription box at the bottom of every article if you'd like to subscribe to the website. You'll also get one pop-up per article while you're here, but only one. Or you can just click on this tab here, subscribe, contact Johnny. Type in your email, click on subscribe, and you're in. Don't Speak News at Proton Mail is how you get in touch. And that'll be it for now, guys. Stay ready. Wow. It's going to get rougher from here. God bless. Take care. Johnny Storm. Don't Speak News.